So in introduction, these are the four topics. So abstraction, abstract data type, data structure, and general definitions. So this is about introduction. So all the data what you store in the computer generally will be represented in sequence of bytes. So example, in a binary code, uh, zeros and ones as a bit of sequences. Okay, then the term in data type is representing the collection of values which refer to a particular data type, and then data types refers to a given type along with a collection of operations for manipulating the values of a given type. And then the data types are generally divided into two categories. One is primitive data types and other one is user defined data types. The primitive data types are divided again into two data types. One is simple and complex data type. The simple data types contains a single numeric values, for example, integer and float. So if you declare one integer variable, and that integer variable will hold one value, and in the same way float. Complex data types construct a multiple components. That means it is having an ability, or the complex data type is a variable which will store a combination of variables. Right? So like list, example is list. List is a variable which will hold multiple items, and in the same way tuple, string, uh, character, etc. A set dictionary, etc. Next one is primitive data types. These are all primitive data types which will be provided by the programming language. So in some cases, or in order to give more flexibility to the user environment, so some to solve a complex problems, the user defined data types is provided by the programming language. By using this user defined data types by the programmer, he can design his own data type, and he can use the data in different structures as well. Okay, we'll see them with the examples so that you can understand them. So the next topic is abstraction. As we have already seen, abstraction is nothing but it provides some kind of transparency uh, to the other end. So when a class contains some private variables, so that variables cannot be accessed outside the class. Okay, so this is abstraction. So to help uh, or manage complex problems and complex data type, computer scientists typically work with this abstraction. Okay, in order to solve these complex problems, so he will use a complex data type, and that will help us in providing an abstraction that will help out of the programming languages which will follow this user defined data type, will help us in defining his own data types, and which will help us in providing abstraction as well. The user of the abstraction does not have to understand all the details in order to utilize the object, but only those relevant to a current task or problem. So no need of understanding for the user about this abstraction in detail, but based on the utilization of the object, you need to check for the corresponding problem. You need to provide a particular user, or you should know about it. Two common abstractions are encountered: one procedural and data abstraction. So that means variables can be provided an abstraction, and as well as functions can also be provided an abstraction, like a private in Python, or in many object-oriented programming languages like C and Java. So private variables, you can have a private variables in the class, and as well as you can have private members, or sorry, private methods as well. So when you declare some variables and methods as a private, then they are going to provide you an abstraction. Okay, so that is here about abstraction. So next, you need to know about abstract data type. Abstract data type, which is in short form, you can say it as an ADT. ADT is a programmer defined data type. So ADT is one kind of user defined data type. So user data type, defined data type can also be said as programmer defined data type. So that specifies a set of data values and a collection of well-defined operations that can be performed on those values. You can define a data, then some procedures or functions that you can define on this abstract data type that will work on the data what you have defined. So then an ADTs are defined independent of their implementation, allowing the programmer to focus on the use of the new data type instead of how it is implemented. So if ADT will provide you some kind of implementation where there is no need of knowing how those operations defined in ADT were defined. Simply we can use those ADTs which were already implemented. Okay. So the best example is like built-in packages which were available in Python programming language, so that you can import those modules in or packages, and you can use those classes which were already defined. So for example, you have math module. So in math module, there are many variables and methods. For example, variable pi is a variable what you can use here, and as well as many methods like sqrt, power, so etc. So you can use, there is no need for you to understand how they were implemented, but it is the necessary for the user to use them, how to use them. It is only needed to know how to use them, but it is not needed how it was implemented. Okay. So then abstract data types can be viewed like a black box. Okay? It can be viewed like a black box which is hiding something, and only some functionalities were known to the outside, and those, by using those uh, what you say interface, you can access the implementation inside the black box. So ADT types are again, ADT is divided into two types. One is simple ADT and other one is complex ADTs. Example of simple ADT is string ADT. So this is a black box where it is treated like a string ADT. So where there are many methods. So these methods are also act like an interface to the user programmer. So in user program, just you call those methods on a certain string, then so those code, okay, those type of operation were already implemented in this string ADT by the built-in environment in Python in a module like a string, for example. Okay, so you can just call them, and those implementation is already written in this black box. So there is no need for the programmer to understand how those methods were defined in this black box. Okay, so user programs interact with instances of the ADT by invoking one of the several operations or methods defined by its interface. Those set of operations can be grouped into four categories. They are like constructors, so which create and initialize new instances of the ADT, uh, accessors, to return data contained in an instance without modifying it, and mutators modify the content of the ADT instances, And the last one is iterators, to process individual data component sequentially one after another. So there are several advantages of working with this abstract data type. So those were defined in 3 points. Those were represented in 3 points. We can focus on solving the problem at the hand instead of getting bogged down the implementation details, right? So next, we can reduce the logical errors that can occur accidentally, and then the implementation of the abstract data type can be changed without having to modify the program code that uses the ADT. These are three best advantages while you are using ADT, abstract data type. Now you need to know about the data structures. The data structures store a collection of values but differ in how they organize in individual data items and by what operations can be applied to manage the collection. Okay, there are many common data structures including array, linked lists, stacks, queues, graphs, tables, sets, etc. So the data structures are the examples for complex ADTs. Okay, so data structure is a best example what you can implement for ADTs, right, with ADTs. And most of the object-oriented programming languages have defined these data structures ADTs. A programmer can simply use those ADTs and can implement these data structures more effectively. Right? General definitions. A collection. A collection is a group of values with no implied organization or relationship between the individual values. Then container. Container is any data structure or an abstract data type that stores and organizes a collection. And then sequence is a container in which the elements are arranged in a linear order from front to back, right? And then stored sequence is one in which a position of the elements is based on the prescribed relationship between each element and its successor.